2, 3, testing. Okay. Good evening. We're going to open the meeting of the Vernon Board of Ed for Thursday, December 19th. Mr. Slam, I'm going to call the meeting to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Ahern?
Here.
Ms. Brock?
Here.
Mr. Smaglia?
Here.
Mr. Contino?
Here.
Mr. Kraus?
Here.
Ms. Pellet?
Here.
Dr. Ross?
Here.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Zimmerman? We have a quorum.
Okay. It is recommended that the board enter closed session for the purposes of discussing legal, personnel, and student matters. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Contino, seconded.
Second.
Second by Ms. Pellet. All in favor?
Aye.
We are in closed session. Okay, we're going to recommended that the board return to open session. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Contino, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kraus. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are back in open session. Mr. Slam, could you please do a roll call again, please?
Miss Ahern,
Here.
Miss Brock,
Here.
Mr. Smaglia.
Here.
Mr. Contino,
Here.
Mr. Kraus,
Here.
Miss Pellet,
Here.
Dr. Ross, Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
Mr. Zimmerman. We have a quorum.
Okay, could you please join me and rise and salute the flag? Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item F, Mr. Slam, the reading of the meeting notice, please.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with provisions of the Act, Vernon Township Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published, and adequate notice has been provided, and notice this meeting has been properly posted in accordance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law. Just a quick note, our next meeting is a reorganization meeting, and that'll be Thursday, January 2nd at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna need approval of the minutes. May I have a motion to approve the minutes as listed? Motion
So moved.
moved by Mr. Kraus.
Second.
Second by Ms. Brock. Any comments or questions? They're the closed session meeting from November 14th, the work session meeting from November 14th, the closed public session from November 21st, and the public session from November 21st. Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Brock,
Yes.
Mr. Smaglia,
Yes.
Mr. Contino,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Miss Pellet,
Yes.
Dr. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Miss Ahern.
Yes, abstain where noted in 1 and 2.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Oh, tonight, item H, we are very fortunate to have is this the Glen Meadow Middle School Saxophone Ensemble? It looked like a few people might have been spending too many years in eighth grade.
I have Matthew Lee on first alto sax, I have Junior Chochi on tenor sax, and I have Wyatt Dents on the bari sax. Come on alto too. We're gonna play about 3 songs for you.
Can I just say thank you for coming? We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
showcasing our students' talents, your teaching, and lifting our spirits through music. It's been great this week, listening to all your band members performing for us this week as well.
Next year will be a maybe clarinet or flute or be surprised.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
That'd be great.
Okay, item I, President's Report. Good evening. A couple of brief comments. I would like to thank the two outgoing board members for their services, Rose Ahern and Carolyn Ross. Although their time was brief, they have left a lasting impression. And through their contributions, opinions, and leadership, we are in a better place because of their service. Thank you very much to both of you.
Thank you.
I happened to be at Walnut Ridge School on the first day of our new preschool program. It was purely an accident. It looked like an awesome day with the students looking very excited. Although I did hear some crying, but I was assured that it was not any of the faculty. I would also like to wish all of the residents and staff of Vernon Schools a very happy and peaceful holiday season. And further, we are looking forward to an exciting 2025. And the board goals item that I have on here is actually going to be postponed one more time. I have everything ready, but it's appropriate that we do it with the new board.
Sure.
And so we're going to do it at the reorganization meeting. And that is item I. Item J, board report summary. Finance, building and ground. Mr. Zimmerman is not here tonight, obviously. Member of the finance committee, or maybe Mr. Slam wanna?
I have notes, but Mr. Slam, yeah, that would be
Okay.
great. Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Under pressure.
Yeah.
So we had a few items of discussion under the finance portion of the night. One of those items was discussion of postponing Rolling Hills fire alarm replacement due to the change order that was approved prior for the high school. That was about just under $100,000. And then also we are looking at some issues with septic repairs at the Walnut Ridge School. One of the other items discussed was a request for a RFP for our food service sooner than we had planned. We decided to stick with our original plan, which is to go out in the spring, because there wasn't really didn't really benefit the district to go out sooner, and it would have been very difficult based off the timeline to meet those requirements. Under buildings and grounds, one of the new repair items is the Walnut Ridge septic system. First day of preschool, we thought we had a backup there. First cause we thought was wipes, which there were wipes stuck, but behind the wipes was roots. Behind the roots were some issues with the actual septic system. So we're exploring that, and as we have more information, that will be shared. And then other than that, we discussed some of the projects that have been in progress. And some of the projects that have been completed. So some of the latest projects that were completed or added to our completed list were the installation of fire doors at Glen Meadow, Rolling Hills, Lounsbury Hollow, and the high school. The repair of the water heater, the repair of boilers at Lounsbury Hollow and Rolling Hills, and then also the completion of our wastewater management and water treatment services RP with a recommendation on tonight's agenda for approval.
And that's it. Any questions about buildings and grounds and finance? Want to add anything, Jen or Charles? You guys were there. Okay, Mr. Contino, community relations.
So we had our first community relations meeting on December 4th at 7 p.m. We did it via Google Meets. In attendance were myself, Mr. Rogers, Rose Ahern, Lindsay Leduc, Eric Kosick, Carolyn Ross, and we want in the future to have some representation from the elementary schools. Of course, the first thing we talked about was establishing a mission for the committee. And we're looking to see who we want to be a part of this committee besides obviously board members and administrators. So we were thinking inviting the SCA to participate in some capacity along with parents who are very active. Of course, we need to create some kind of application process. We're in the process of creating that application now. We have a draft along with a draft for the mission, but of course, those things have to be approved before we can share them. And then we were looking for ideas as to what we want our goals to be. So obviously, we want collaboration with the SCA and a way for the community to ask questions. The whole point of the committee should be about community engagement. And we want to do something like the drive-in movie night. We're thinking of something like that, and a state of the district address as a part of our goals for communication. But all of these things still have to be approved at a later date, but that's what was discussed. So that's everything I have.
Thank you, Mr. Catino. Curriculum, Ms. Pellet?
So we had a curriculum meeting on Monday, December 16th. We had in attendance Vinnie Gagliastro, Nick Lasso, myself, Melissa Brock, John Kraus, and we had alternates Carrie Ross and Charles Samaglia. Carrie was going to be a little bit late, so we took the opportunity to invite Mr. Samaglia to come because, as you might remember, we had that conversation come up last week about the server and system evaluation discussion. The committee had, was discussing the concern raised that the statement of work by a vendor in the wake of a power failure that caused crucial servers to shut down. There was some concern about the scope of work in the statement of work presented for approval, and that it didn't cover reviewing a disaster recovery or continuity plan. So it was agreed at the committee meeting that the administration will review the district's current disaster recovery and business continuity plan and make any necessary updates, as well as be mindful of the need for thorough and detailed descriptions in the scope of work covered in future negotiations of agreements. We also discussed the idea of the administration creating a template for reporting on incidents like this going forward that would include description of the incident, what was done to handle it, the cost to the district, and what we can learn. That ended up being a potential area for discussion later because we discussed it as a committee, but we need to discuss it, I guess, with the administration and the full board. Then we went to old business, which was the high school grading policy, class weighting, and scheduling update. We've been working, the district has been working on that since April of 2023. And a new grading policy went into place this school year at the high school that involves shifting to major and minor grades rather than different weighting for homework, participation, quizzes, and tests. And the idea there was to provide more consistency across the district and to avoid situations where a student's marking period grade was overly impacted by a single test. So we have in the committee report, the major grade and the minor grade weighting, it varies by course. So I don't know, I can read these. For the CP course level, it's 60% major grades, 40% minor grades. For ACP, it's 70% major grades, 30% minor grades. For honors and AP courses, it's 80% major grades and 20% minor grades. On the other items, the administrators and faculty are still working on developing recommendations for changes to the grade weighting differentials for AP, honors, ACP, and CP courses, as well as a decision about whether to keep the current rotating schedule at the high school or move to a block schedule. And the hope is to reach a consensus on the weighting for the coming school year. We also discussed the family tech night. The district has met with a potential presenter, Screen Strong, and plans to hold the tech night sometime late winter or early spring. We also reviewed the instructional coach updates, what our new instructional coaches have been doing, which is a lot of really exciting work. There's a lot here, so I encourage the board members to look at the, there's a link in the report to the the slide deck that explains a lot more detail. But they've been focusing on maximizing instructional best practices, creating a rubric on teaching practices in the classroom, and working with teachers on overcoming challenges to implementing them through collaboration, classroom visits, and providing feedback. But there's a lot more there. I just don't want to go on and on and on. And then we also talked about an ELA and math curriculum project that the administration's been auditing curriculum in preparation for CUSAC and evaluating potential new math curriculum for grades 5 through 8. And possibly also grade 4, which will replace Math in Focus. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Pellet. Charles, Mr. Policy?
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay.
I
Sorry.
forgot to say questions or comments.
I just wanted, so on the grading grade weighting,
Yes.
scheduling, and There were three things, right? What was
Grade,
it?
grade weighting, scheduling in the high school, yeah, the high school rotational, yeah,
One is done. We're waiting on two.
yes.
Okay, and they're looking
That's
towards the end of the year to wrap this up.
Right, well, the one will wrap up the end of this year.
Okay,
And then the high school scheduling, I don't know that we're gonna get to a decision on that.
They're hoping to.
Oh, they are, okay, hoping to finish. Thank you.
and then I just had one other question. I was in the meeting, so I did get to ask a couple of questions about the scheduling. It didn't, not scheduling, sorry, the grade point, waiting. Nope, wrong again. It's the,
It's the
minor-
grading
minor major-
grading policy,
grading policy.
not the class
Yeah.
weighting.
And actually, when I saw it on paper, that's when it made me think about, something, because, I don't know if anybody knows, Janet Hale. She's some curriculum person, very popular, school boards think she is, and the only reason why it just happened to line up that I had to take policy, governance 3 at the same time that we had the policy meeting, or, curriculum meeting. So she was saying things in there. So two concerns I had was, one related to her, where, she's looking at why, and her focus was not anything like the we're doing right here. So it was more, focus in having two schools there. So this goes back probably to when we went to school, when we had a special ed program and a general ed program, like we were teaching two different ways. And we learned that's wrong, right? So not that this is wrong, and I'm not trying to call anybody out and say that this is the wrong way. And I'm happy we're trying different things. It's very nice, but do we see that it's working good, that we have different levels of the class? We have AP, we have CP, general, we have three different, right? And not only do we make them different in rigor, that we're also changing the way we're grading those. So not only the classes from an AP to, let's say, general, right? Let's go to these two extremes. I think AP is the top, right? General is the bottom. We're not only is the coursework lesser, right? It's also, we're trying to, we're accepting, we're changing, not accepting less, we're changing how we're grading them. So it's almost, we're messing with two items at the same time, not only coursework load, but also how we're handling what they're handing in. So I obviously, we just put in effect this year. I don't expect you to have like all the answers right now. But is this something that I would like to see that we're looking at? Because to me, it seems a little weird, right? It doesn't seem normal, but we need to be not normal sometimes. We need to do something that's different, come out of the box and make something better, because we don't know until we actually tried. But so I just want to make sure that we are reinforcing, we're really checking how this comes along. And the other thing is with that is the 60-40. This is our lower end, right? Of the not the high performers, right? And trying to say it the best way,
Well,
but
they could be high performers in those classes.
okay. So not the kids that are working with the harder coursework. It's because some of my kids have taken AP classes. The teachers say right away, I don't check homework, because if you don't do your homework, you're not passing this class, right? And it makes sense because the coursework is very hard. So I understand how the grading is, I think 80-20 is something like that, right?
80-20 for the honors AP, yeah.
Yep, and then, but when we get down to the lower grade, it's, I'm don't really have my homework here where I can say that classwork and homework, these are the four things I know: classwork, homework, quizzes, grades, right? And labs, right? Quizzes, tests, and labs. So quizzes, tested, labs, I would assume are major, and classwork, homework, I would assume is minor. So if I did all my homework in the lower grade, I would get a 50, or I'm sorry, 40. I would get a 40 just on that portion. So I did hand in all my homework every time. And homework's not what we used to have, right? We're not getting 3 hours of homework because we know better now. Like, it's the quality, not the quantity, right? So I can do less work and I can get a 50 on all my tests, and I would get 30 points, right? So 40 plus 30 would mean I would have 70. I would pass the class. And like what this lady was saying, we look at the standards, right? That's our goal to get to the end. It's not how we design our guideline to design the class, but if I'm making assessments and I'm only learning, getting 50s at them, did I get to my goal where we want those children to be? And then if that kid just, and this is because we go back to what the whole reason why we're changing things, because people were playing the system, right? Kids were, I'm not playing the system, but they were not trying to hurt themselves so they can get into college, right? So they would take lesser, other classes that have AP classes so they can get a better grade. But in this situation, I mean, I can literally just do my homework, come to school every day, not even really pay attention to a test, and still I could probably come out with a 70. And that kid, would they ever be able to move on from there? Because if you only learned, you got a 70 on your assessments, right? You only learned about half of the stuff. Obviously, there's more to learning than just tests, right? So if you learn only about 50% of that, you would never be able to get out of general class. So as a parent, I think that makes me a little concerned. I'm not saying we have kids out there. I probably just blab the word out, now everybody's gonna think, oh, we could try that out. But I hope nobody does that. But that's what it scares me when seeing that. So how are we addressing, and I'm not saying you have to go and change anything, because maybe this way is great. I'm not saying it's wrong, but are we going back? We're going to have numbers at the end of the year to show that this is not happening, because you can really play the system, I think. And the kids aren't going to learn anything.
Could I just make a comment to that? I think it's basically semantics. The teachers are just changing wording, what a major grade and a minor grade is. They still are counting the same things they counted as a major grade before. They're just weighting it differently, but it's not weighted differently. It's actually pretty much the same. If I'm incorrect, I mean, a person in an AP class, an AP teacher is going to put a heavy weight on more difficult items because it's a difficult class, and in the lower class of the regular college prep class, let's just say, is going to still do what they were doing before. They're just calling it something different. So all of those grades are still going to be major or minor, but they're just giving less credence to maybe a quiz. Maybe a quiz counts more in an upper level class than it does in a CP class. So I don't think that what you're saying is going to affect a huge change in anything. I think our grading is going to pretty much remain the same.
Yes, please. So what I think that addresses the first part of my question. And you're in education, John. You've done it for many years. I know you have some experience in that, and I don't have the experience. So at the end of this year, I would like to see that. I trust you. I trust the members of the faculty and stuff that have put this together and tried hard to do a good job, right, and put it together. And I'm not saying that wrong, but my more concern is that 60-40. And it just, I mean, I like math. That's what I do. And it comes up, and if I did my homework, I can still get 40 points for that class. I did all my homework, right?
Right, but what you're saying is that just homework is 40%, which it's probably not. There's probably other things that comprise that 40%. If I'm not mistaken, not just homework. We don't know. Each individual teacher does what they do.
Of all the major grades and the minor grades, but I would.
They might say they maybe heavy weight a project, for instance. Some things, there's a lot of project-based learning things in some of those classes. So maybe they put more weight on a project where an AP class is going to put more weight on a test. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where the differences are. I don't think a kid's going to be able to just do his homework and skate through the class. I don't think that's going to work. Because it's going to be pretty much what it was before. It's semantics, really.
Well, that would be my question. If you looked at it before and you added up the quizzes, the homework and participation, it probably was at least 40%, right? So I don't know how much, I don't know how much this is different from what we were doing before, really.
Going memory, I'm thinking 20%, 10% homework, 20%. This is, haven't been to school in a while, but 40% quizzes and other ones. I see it with the higher level. It's just, I feel like we could be potentially hurting the lower level ones. But I don't know. If we have the, like you're saying, maybe if we have some information of what the percentages were last time and exactly what a minor and major was. And I know there's some differences based on the department, like science, they explained in the meeting, has labs. Nobody else really has labs, right? We don't have a lab class and music class. It's just lab and science. So yeah, that's gonna be a little bit of difference, but what are the major and what are the minor components that will be, I guess, standardized or more?
I
Mostly
think that's gonna
standardized?
vary by department. Am
Were
I-
you
am
at
I
the
incorrect in that?
curriculum committee meeting? John?
I understand.
Did
what
they
you're-
discuss that
he-
at the
he-
curriculum committee meeting?
I bring it up a little bit but it wasn't actually until I saw that number. Like I did ask about it if
Yeah,
it was standard.
we,
And I think
We
Vinny did
talked about
say
it at curriculum, but he didn't really take in the differences until he saw the report with them laid out. They were in the agenda too. but
Right.
Charles isn't on the committee. He was subbing in for Carrie
I see.
while she was late, so he didn't have the agenda in advance, I guess. I would also just say, just, for the record, like, I think we have to have some faith in the fact that, they took a year to figure out how to do this. They piloted it the year before. And we have to have some faith that the educators, know what they're
what they're
doing.
Right.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm
education.
not an educator, and I do think like they spent a lot of time and thought and energy into, figuring this out. And I'm sure if we,
But education teaches us, right, this scientific method, engineering has a process, right? We find something, we make an assumption, we make an hypothesis of what we're gonna do. And we test it out and we come back with data. So are we gonna be seeing the data at the end of the year to see that this plan worked out? Because I mean, I can be totally wrong. I could be off. This could be the best plan and other people model off of us. And I don't want to take that away from all the work, the hard work that people put in, but we do have to evaluate how the district's moving, right? So it's not that it's bad. This may be a good plan. Maybe it just needs a little tweaking. And I heard some rumors that the faculty, especially at the high school, are going to be reevaluating some of that stuff. But are we going to see that? Are we going to be?
yeah,
So they'll report to the curriculum committee, and the grading committee consisted of approximately 12 teachers and an administrator who met many times. And like Mrs. Pellet said before, I think they piloted it a little bit as well. And this isn't just like they took the percentages and they are having ongoing conversations. So I would love if you wanted to have somebody from the committee or the administrator come to the committee meeting to tell you what exactly they went through this whole process in order to come up with these percentages and what their findings are and where they're at. Because there is discussion throughout the year about how these percentages are working and how they feel about it as well. But I think that it'd be appropriate to do that at the curriculum committee.
Yeah, I think
Brett,
that would
what
be
you
great.
I'm sorry.
And I would just also add that I believe they are planning to look at it, how it went this year and just vet it to make sure, because I think that was said at the meeting as well. So
And the results will be reported back to the curriculum committee.
Yes.
correct. That's our old business and we follow up on it when we remember to, but we will.
You could-
Okay.
Did you get your questions answered?
I think so. You're at the end of the year, you said that you're constantly reviewing it, right? Throughout the year, you're saying that even with the percentages or something right there, you said they're looking at it and it'll be reported back to the curriculum committee. And then we can look at it we can discuss it as a whole.
I think they can
afterwards.
discuss the results and their findings and what they talked about
Yeah,
and why they made the decision to go where they're going and maybe possibly make changes based on their discussions.
and I'm sure, but I'm looking for more like result wise. How did it work out? What are we changing? Because maybe we saw that this doesn't work, but this works better. So
Well,
we
yeah,
moved it.
I trust that the
That's-
administrator is doing that in the process.
No, that's what I'm looking for at the end of the year. Is that where you're talking that we would probably I'm not trying to commit.
Well,
to something.
listen, I got this discussion question, I believe, earlier today, and I reached out to the principal and I'm confident that if they came to the curriculum committee, they'd be able to answer your questions.
Sure.
Yeah, and then I'll report it to you because you're not on curriculum, although you should maybe put that on your list in the reorg meeting. So,
That's a great idea. Anybody else have any questions about the curriculum?
I didn't know if this goes, I'm sorry, I forgot. I had one more thing.
Talk, it's okay.
I had one more thing and I wasn't sure where this goes because we talked about it a little bit last time. Policy talked about it. I think curriculum, we talked about it. It's about AI. I was just wondering. I think we left the meeting. It seemed like we were gonna do it as a board. Is that part of what you're gonna report later or something? Okay, I don't wanna take you.
No,
from it,
no,
right?
it's quite all right.
Yeah.
In my presentation next year, there are committees that we can establish. Because AI has become such a force, I was anticipating, recommending, if I became president, that we have a technology committee separate from curriculum committee. Because it's so important that I think, well, both of them are important, that we should allow those committees to focus more on those topics.
I
It's,
think,
it's
yeah.
something to talk about, and it doesn't have to, but we can think about it and talk about it.
I think we should talk about all our committees and whether, we did that once before, right? And it's probably a good idea to revisit.
So
it.
my presentation, I have like 12 committee potentials. I mean, some of it is, redundancy, but 8 would probably be
Yeah.
more than enough. Then 8 people would be chair people. The president should be chair of any committee.
That sounds, yeah.
So it'll be for the second.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Charles, it's,
I know, I just keep on telling you guys I'm done, but I keep on looking at my notes. I'm like.
I haven't heard that yet.
Oh, okay, good. It would have been
Soon, I hope.
Was I just want to go back to the disaster recovery plan, business continuity. We are, because part of my discussion last week, I voted on agreeing to the scope of work that I didn't like. But I said if it was okay, if I would go along with that scope of work, as long as we would still be reviewing the business continuity and disaster recovery plan that we already have, and we're gonna, if we need to, we would make adjustments, but that's what I just want to clarify. That's what
Yeah, and
I said.
I talked to you as well, is that my idea was to address it as soon as possible. So we're gathering all that information. Supervisor of technology is reaching out to High Point Solutions. I think we're gonna have quite a comprehensive report. I think we need to unpack that and share it with the technology committee. And then he'll have some ideas he'll share with you some ideas of what he hopes to do, and maybe we can have a discussion on making, he wants to make sure it's properly funded so that we can do things in the most efficient way possible, so that something like this won't happen again.
I'll be following up on that.
It's my understanding that you got all of your questions, they responded to all of your questions.
I think so. I could probably find another one if you want, gentlemen.
No, not new ones, old ones.
And we're good for now.
All right, Charles, thank you
No,
very
but-
much.
Right now, we're waiting on updated agreement with additional language in the statement of work.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he just met with him today.
All right, now can we open up the meeting to the public?
We still got.
Yeah, I gotta talk.
Oh, geez, I thought that was you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, oh, boy,
Now it's
I'm
my-
losing control here.
Now it's his turn.
Mr. Semaglia, the policy committee?
All right, so we had our meeting on December 5th, from 5:30 to about 7. Was there, myself, was me, Russ, Melissa, Carolyn, John, and Nick Lasso, who is our technology. I forgot his position, but he's our lead technology guy. He's the guy that everyone goes Zoom calls, right? So, great guy to talk. He really was passionate about technology. So we had a good discussion in there. So we reviewed, he didn't take part of this, but we did review the second reading, which we're going to recommend that, the second reading just go through. It's good. We not make any changes to that first reading. We have, I'll bring this up when I talk about the first reading. But we talked about some of the technology things that a drive for the Board of Ed. And also I mentioned about tablets, and Nick actually heard my comments and then gave us, bring it up in the meeting, and we also discussed some options with that. So the first thing is the P policy 5.1.1.1.1.1. It's the eligibility. This is up for second reading. We don't see there's any need for any more changes. Whatever we agreed upon at the last meeting, we are recommending to agree upon it again this time. First reading, So this is a little bit of discrepancy. I'll take some blame for this. We had some, somebody at the office I was talking to, and I don't know if I was clear, and I'm pretty sure I wasn't clear.
Well, we can have a discussion today instead of a first reading.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I was gonna say either I can present it, I don't know, we could put it on the table and vote on it, or we can just discuss it. I'll tell you what our recommendations were. This is for random drug testing, 5530.1. Currently, and this was discussed in the group already. So, currently, we have, one portion of the whole, policy, regulation that says up to 20%. As a group, we discussed this. We think it fits better that we change this to a number that's to a minimum instead of a maximum. We're just reversing the language. We feel like we recommended 10%. We feel like this would do better for our students, as we put a baseline for what we want to achieve. This goes along with our board policy about safety concerns. It's also, I feel like this is a little bit more me probably than the board, because we didn't really, the committee, because we didn't talk about it, but I feel like we should probably review this at the end of the year annually. And we always look at this one, because this is something serious about the health and safety of our children. So we should probably look, do we need to adjust that number? Is it a good number? Where are we at? One thing I did want to bring out about this was Russ gave us a lot of information from the district. There was a lot of things going on that I don't think many of us know, that each school is doing themselves, little programs. They have stuff scheduled out throughout the year. So they're addressing our safety in a different way, which was very nice to see. Another thing is this 18A statistic. Is we can see that it's actually working. 18A is when somebody I guess notices it. I don't know how to put this in layman's terms. I guess notices something's wrong. They work towards fixing that problem. And if you look at the percentage wise, it looks like the teachers, or I shouldn't say teachers, the staff, the whole entire staff are doing a well job at it, because the numbers are good. It's not like only 10% of the kids that they suspect or have a problem. It's actually a very high number. So I just wanted to point that out, because I did feel that our staff is doing a great job at that. And but the only change we wanted to make was make it from 10% from up to 20% to at least at a minimum of 10%. The one policy 167 was brought up many times, is the public participation in board meetings. We actually spent most of our time talking about this after the technology side of it, and we didn't come up with a unanimous decision. There's feelings on both sides, whether it's good or it's not. I think we all saw the side that it is good for the community, but it's also sometimes it could be a little not so great for our our presentation here of the board, because we're not being effective. It could be a little bit distracting. So as a committee, we thought that, there's probably a better way to approach this. And what we're recommending is that we look at other policies instead, and not just look at taking away public comment from remote public comment. We're saying maybe we just look at how we organize the meeting a little bit. I put some suggestions that we did. We didn't really change any policies, but we put some suggestions that we can talk about next time. Some of them were a total time for comments, which sometimes we do, or we have, it has in the past, a timer that can be displayed for all to see. One thing was maybe an app on the TV screen, so even the person at home can see it. Ensuring information is collected when someone speaks, which we try to do the best out of this, but a lot of times we just forget, and it doesn't always happen. Enforcing per speaker time limits, which you guys probably want for me right now, but Deciding on the need for video or voice only, preventing inappropriate comments, a warning system. You know, people start saying things that don't pertain to the portion of that of the meeting, you know, here's a warning. Let's move on because we have business also to conduct here. A number of turns per speaker, per comment session, strict rules on answering questions, answerings given at the end, and or maybe the next meeting. This is, you know, stuff that we're receiving, restricting security related topics to off camera. This is something actually Nick brought up, and you know, there are some concerns, and you know, I talk about cyber a lot, and I never really actually thought, hey, maybe we shouldn't say some of that. And it's not just computer wise, it's also probably any kind of security topic. I know, Joe, you've done a pretty good job of keeping us,
Except for you.
except for
Charles.
me with my MFA all the time yelling out there, but yeah, so well, maybe we have to change that in our policy. Shut the cameras off when we're doing this. And this is not just for public comment, it's also for the live stream. Agenda and amendment deadlines, and defining work session, public meetings and special sessions, which I know Joe has a whole presentation about, which I think he wants to eliminate some of those words already. So, but that's all, those are things that we're looking at, and no decision was made on anything, just that's what we're going to focus on the next meeting. I'll try to go quick on the last couple things here. Electronic communication between staff is policy 4283. We would just, I put this on there. I just think it's a 10-year-old policy. Technology has changed. Let's make sure we're up to date with it. No big thing. We didn't really get to talk about it. The next thing is the drive. Nick actually set us up today or yesterday with it. So I put a proposed thing, if everybody could just check the notes of how I think we should structure. It should be structured. Every committee has a folder. Only committee members have access to write to that. The committee chair has full rights to that folder. So they can make folders, put it, organize it the way they want. Everyone else in the board basically can have access to it, but cannot comment on Google Sheets or anything on that. And then I thought that we would need some security groups, board members, which would include all of us, board leadership, which include the president, vice president. Then we have committee chairs, and then committee members. So everything will be working in groups. A little more security thing. Probably nobody cares about that. It's a little bit more geeky, I guess, but that's what I propose. If everybody could just take a look at it, and then I would like to get back to Nick this week before the holiday, so we can just finish that up.
That would be tomorrow, Charles.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I work all night long, so.
Anybody have any questions? on this
Yes.
Policy.
Did you have one more thing?
Yeah, Cheryl says me, I'm working with the administration. We're gonna get the review started. There may be, Russ knows more about it than I do, so I'm gonna probably lean on him.
Yeah, they're doing the
so.
annual review of all the policies, but also they just had another batch of policies out. What we'll do it when we have a batch of policies come out, we usually will compare the recommendations to the policy that we have, give some of our recommendations and highlight them in a certain color, and then give them to the policy committee so they can look at them and see what some of our recommendations are based on expertise in certain areas, so you guys can make decisions on what you want to do with those policies.
And then two last thing is, well, part of that is that we went over our Trello rules. We're just making this, I put them down there if you guys want to see the rules, but we're just making sure that we don't do any, cause any problems with privacy, and we're protecting the school data. And then tablets, which I would love to open this discussion about. It doesn't have to be today, but in a future meeting, I would love to talk more about tablets. Nick went over a couple options we could have. Some of the committee members also mentioned different options. We don't have to change, but I think we should move with the times. Let's get away from paper. We don't need paper anymore. We should be trying to save money, and just be more organized and be better. I think if board members had their own device that they were able to bring to, have it pre-set up when they got here. It wouldn't be like we have to get here, get a Chromebook, log in, try to figure out and go around. So something to bring up, I would like to talk about maybe next year is tablets. And then I think I'm done for now, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
on the 55, 50 point, well, the random drug test policy. I guess I'm just confused as to why this is never seemed to get to a reading part, into a first reading. I know you said it was probably like an oversight or whatever, but we've been talking about it, for a while, and I think we kind of have an agreement now with the minimum. I mean, unless there's, someone who doesn't agree with the 10%. It used to be 20%, so that's, a little bit of a rollback, seemed like a reasonable amount. We haven't ever missed it, right? So is there a problem that we're not actually getting to a reading on this policy? It just never seems to be an attachment. Right?
So, I'll just answer, Russ, you
I
can
mean,
talk too, but I'll just say a couple of things was, I know we kept it in committee for a couple sessions. That was on us because we wanted to get more information. Russ gave us a whole bunch of information about it. So it did take a little bit more time. I think there was a little confusion on my part about getting on here today, but again, I have the link on the paper. If I don't know if we're allowed to do this or not, I would suggest, I would propose that we can call a vote to put that on the table, to a vote on it tonight. The link's there, it's only one sentence change, but if we can't, I just want to speed it up. It's just, like Jen said.
It's been 3 months.
Yeah, yeah, I don't want to report on it again.
Yeah, right? I
So-
mean,
Can you define the change again, please?
Sure, it's there's a sentence that says up to 20%. And want to change it to a minimum of 10%.
So what's up to?
the number
So-
of children in the random drug testing pool to be tested, it used to be 20%.
Per year, per month?
Per month. It used to be 20% per month. And then we changed it to up to 20%, which basically means you don't, have to test anybody. And so and the district has been testing. Charles
Yeah.
looked back
Yeah.
and they tested at least between 10 and 20%. So we thought, okay, let's just make it 10 to 20% so that it's established that it can't be 0 to 10%. That was that. So the change is at least 10%, right? From up to 20%, it's a minimum of 10% of the
Yeah.
pool.
So you like to put it in for first reading before our second reading?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, and I just want to, I think we agreed upon 10% for the year because of.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Because, some months, November, we have Thanksgiving, Christmas during December, there's less people, less activities.
So 10% total.
It's 10% over the year, is the goal.
So roughly how many kids are in the pool? How many students are in the pool?
Oh, we have that somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, is it 700? Something like
I
that?
think it's a little higher than that. I can bring it up. Russ actually gave us.
Yeah, he did give us
So
that.
then it would be 70. Say if it's 700, then it'll be 70 children, 70 students.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
right,
Alright.
pretty much.
Does anybody have any objection to adding this to the agenda?
But I think we have to do a motion in order to
Yeah.
add it now.
Yeah, we
To
do.
add it to the agenda?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yes.
once you get to that, once you get to that section, you just need a motion and a second to add it to the agenda, and then you do a separate roll call.
Okay, so we have to remember what the exact number of the policy is. And
Yep.
you have to give us a clear statement of what the change is.
Yep, I'm bringing it up right now, so.
Okay.
Actually, what we could do, since we could amend the motion that's there,
There's no a motion on the table right now.
well, once we're down there, we could amend the motion that's on the agenda. So it's M2A to M2H. We could add a resolution to it, just instead of saying M2H. Separate.
So we read I, is that what you're
Yep,
saying?
yep.
Okay,
And Joe, last year was 637 was the total.
637?
Yeah.
That was the children, the students who were in the population of available
Oh,
to drug
you know
tests.
what, it's a little higher because Glen Meadow is separate.
Yes.
So this is a high school.
Okay.
About 630.
Right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, any more questions about policy? Dr. Ross?
I have 2 comments. I just wanted to underscore what Charles said about what Nick said about discussing security issues at the meetings. I thought this was really interesting. He was saying both We talk sometimes about online security and physical security, and we live stream it to the internet, and then it's on there forever. So he was saying this is something we should consider when we have specific items. We should, section them off and close down the live stream if we're talking about anything that we wouldn't want the general population to always at any time be able to find, on the internet, people who don't live in town, etc. So I thought that was really just an important point that I hadn't thought of before. And then I just wanted to say about the paper-free thing that I hear you, but there is some people do not comprehend as easily through screens. So I do think even though,
So I got both.
right, yeah. So if we completely do away with paper, there might be some board members who aren't engaging as well with the screen. So I think having some sort of mix is probably the way to go. And
Yeah,
I
I think you bring that up when we talk
Yeah.
about it as well, yeah.
That's ageism, Charles.
Yeah.
I didn't say some old people. I said people.
I'm okay with that. I'm not offended.
No, I think it'll be a great discussion as the board.
Charles, you got the number of that policy with the first reading of
Yes, it's regulation.
regulation?
5530.1.
It should be a policy
55,
too.
31.
Mr. Contino,
I do have one question that's about what Carrie was just saying around Dr. Ross. The idea of sectioning off a certain section of the meeting and closing down the live stream. Is doing that okay with the New Jersey open public meetings law?
if it's related to security, yes.
Okay, when I heard that, I was like, okay, that makes sense, but
I mean, we may not do it that way. We may do it a different way by having it discussed in executive session, but if we make a mistake, we don't want to, we don't want to make a mistake about security. We want to be extremely careful, but
yes.
if it comes up during a meeting, we can pause and, stop the live stream. We'd probably just move it to executive session later
Well,
on.
I think his
Yeah.
point was, I could be wrong about this, but it could still be an open meeting.
Mhm.
It's fine for the public
Yeah.
who are present. It's just that you wouldn't want it indefinitely published on the internet because then anybody can access it at any time. So there's some issues where like if someone, like cybersecurity attacks or whatever, if someone wanted to know how then that wouldn't just be our community members here present in this meeting. That would be like, you could go to that school and look that up.
I don't mean to cut you off, I'm sorry. The only thing with that is anything discussed here in front of the public goes into the minutes. So if it's not on the live stream, it would still be in the minutes.
You can redact minutes though, if it's
Yeah.
a security issue.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really
You're
like,
right, they do.
I just thought it was really something to consider what he was saying.
And big picture, we have to be careful what we say, because sometimes we mention things security related that that is easily searchable on the web.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be easier for us to just make sure to discuss those in executive session. Because I don't know, this is not my territory.
No, but it's something that we should discuss.
Yes.
Think about and try to find a resolution about how to handle it.
Because there's a lot too. I mean, like Buildings and Grounds might say we're putting in a new alarm system.
Mhm.
Well, should we not? I mean, that's a big budget item, right? We should discuss it out here.
Mhm.
We might not want to go in there, but if it was something, an armed ninja in each classroom, yeah, maybe we just talk about that in
But not discuss the specifics of the alarm system.
Right,
In general terms.
in general, right.
So general terms would be okay, but anything specific would be executive session because we wouldn't want to get into
Yeah.
For
redactions,
security.
things like that, where we could have issues with the sunshine law.
Right.
And I could always double check that with.
Right.
That's correct.
Hey, I did,
Dan?
I'm sorry, I did have one more thing. And I'm sorry to flip back to the random drug test, but Charles, you mentioned before that you'd like us to see and you'd like us to do an annual review of it. And I did want to say that the New Jersey Administrative Code actually requires, and I don't know that we have been doing this, but it requires that each district Board of Education shall establish a process for the annual review of the effectiveness of its policies and procedures regarding student alcohol and other drug abuse. So that is something we really have to do. It's not like an option. So we should start, kind of that.
I believe we do an annual
Review of it?
annual report. I don't know
Of-
if we actually
of the
discussed it.
process, but it's not just a report, it's, we're supposed to annually review the effectiveness of the policy. So we're supposed to be looking at them and looking at our data, which we did this year for like first time since I've been on the board. We looked at the data for the, for the random drug test and the 18As. And so
Which
we've
was-
started it,
It was remarkable.
but that was something that we just, I brought it up, and then now I think we should make that a practice going forward every year because it turns out to be required. So,
And I think it goes along with, that's gonna be our goal.
right. And it's also a board goal. Yeah. So it fits
Adjust the
nicely.
goal at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, so moving on to item K, public comment. We're gonna open the meeting to the public. If you have anything to say, please come to the microphone, identify yourself and the municipality in which you reside.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fisher.
My name is Brian Fisher. And I live in Highland Lakes. I just wanted to weigh in on the issue we were just discussing, or you were just discussing. Charlie mentioned a couple of times during his presentation that we need to move with the times. I heard that exact phrase a couple of times. To me, moving with the times means that online access is the same as in-person access. And I understand the comments about, well, you can search the internet, but basically really anybody could show up here at any time too. We're not checking IDs at the door. Somebody made the comment that it's in the minutes, Carl said that, and then somebody said, well, the minutes can be redacted. Well, the tape can be redacted too. So if there's something on the live stream that we don't want out there that should have been done in executive session, that can be edited out later as well. So I don't think we should be, or the board should be discussing anything here that's not also going out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher. Anybody else in the audience? Anybody else online?
No.
Oh, sure, okay. You sure? All right, we're gonna move on. Thank you for your comments. We're gonna move on to item L, student representative report. Would you like me to read it? You wanna read it?
Sure, on behalf of Tina, go ahead.
Unfortunately, Christina Chinella could not make it. Unfortunately, I cannot make today's meeting. This is her report. Due to a swim meet and an EMT class. I do have a few updates to report, though. The holidays are quickly approaching, and VTHS has been embracing the holiday spirit. We have participated in gift giving to families in need and door decorating. Winter sports just started, and we already have some wins under our belt. That's a good thing. We have the winter pep rally tomorrow, and then after that, we can all enjoy a nice, festive, and relaxing winter break. I hope that everyone has a very merry and long winter break. Christina Chinelli. Thank you, Christina. Next, item M.
Informational matters and reports. We're pleased to announce the Vernon Township High School students and as a district artist of the month for December. Their artwork is being displayed at the board office as well as the Rolling Hill primary students who have their artwork displayed at the municipal building during the month of December. A great deal of thanks to Ms. Rose Ahern and Dr. Carolyn Ross for their service as Vernon Township School District Board of Education members. You came in tough situations as seats were vacated, and we appreciate what you did in your time here with the board. I think we learned a great deal together, and you understand the time commitment and commitment overall to the Board of Education and our children here at Vernon, and your service to us is much appreciated.
Thank you.
The National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association is pleased to announce Mr. William Foley as Athletic Administrator, K-12 Health, Physical, and Education Supervisor at Vernon Township High School, has been recognized by the association as a Certified Master Athletic Administrator. Mr. Foley is also one of the very elite group of interscholastic athletic administrators nationwide to attain this level of professionalism. The National Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association announced that Mr. William Foley, supervisor of Vernon Township School, has been recognized as Association as Certified Master Athletic Administrator, as well as Athletic Director of the Year for our region. I'm going to have Mr. Gagliasso report on the spring WIDA Alternative Access Score Report. It's a requirement of the state. You're going to hear this it's going to be very quick.
So we did give the alternative access WIDA this spring, but it is under the suppression amount of students. So I cannot report any of the data out. Otherwise, it will identify the students who took
What
it.
does WIDA mean?
It is the consortium for our MLL students, our bilingual population.
And that's the report.
That's the report.
It's a requirement of the state.
And we can't ask, well, we could ask questions, but you can't answer them because.
Right, they took it. That's about it.
Can you tell us how many students or
No.
You can't even tell us.
It's
that?
under 10.
Did they do well?
I can't say.
Thank you, Mr. Gagliasso.
Thank you.
Alrighty.
That's a requirement from the state to report that. We're gonna have a celebration for many of these teachers in May, but congratulations to the 2024-25 Governor's Educator of the Year Award recipients and the 2024-25 Educational Services Professional Awards. The following are the recipients of the 2024-25 Governor's Educator of the Year Award: Susan Discrofano Catania at the Vernon Township High School, Jennifer Papandrea at Glen Meadow Middle School, Beth Jensen at Lounsbury Hollow School, Pamela Weber at Rolling Hills Primary School, Ivory Petty at Cedar Mountain Primary School, and Dana Cook at Walnut Ridge School. The following are the recipients of the 2024-25 Educational Services Professional Award: Alexis Pisco, School Counselor at Vernon Township High School, Bethany Konopinski, School Psychologist at Glen Meadow Middle School, Aline Revelant, 4th and 5th grade teacher at Lounsbury Hollow School, and Alexis Stokes, School Counselor at Rolling Hills Primary School, and Kara Zimnick, Speech Language Specialist at Cedar Mountain Primary School. Congratulations to all these teachers and professionals. We will celebrate them in May. And what I get to enjoy even more, I get to see what they're doing on a daily basis in the district day to day. Also, congratulations to Anne-Marie McCabe for being selected as a SEA County ESP recipient for Vernon. Anne-Marie was nominated by Mr. Mark Citro. Mr. Citro said this about Anne-Marie: Ms. McCabe is an outstanding choice for NJEA's ESP Award. Her unwavering commitment to helping students and staff alike is truly commendable. Her friendly demeanor and willingness to go above and beyond to assist everyone in need has created a warm and welcoming environment for all. Whether it is answering phone calls, assisting with administrative tasks, or offering a listening ear, her support is always delivered with kindness and professionalism. Thank you, Mrs. McCabe. Again, we will celebrate all these people in person in May as well. Number 2, recommendations. It recommends that the board approve the following faculty, staff appointments, etc. in the table below. I'll give you a little bit of time to look that over in case you may have some questions. Letter B, it is recommended that the board approve the following positions for the 24-25 CCLC program, all be paid with 21st Century Community Learning Center grant funds. There's 2 tables there. I want to note that there's an error in the rate for the CCL substitute RPO. That should be $29 an hour, not 20.
Where is it?
B,
Page 2.
CCLC substitute RPO on page 9.
Thank you.
That should be $29 per hour.
Thank
29, 28, sorry. $28 an hour. Thank you, Mr. Gagliastro. It is recommended the board approve the following 2024-25 stipend appointments as listed below. In letter D, it is recommended the board approve the professional development, travel, conferences, conventions, and workshops that comply with the provisions of the New Jersey statutes annotated NJSA 18A 11-12 for Vernon Township School District employees in the chart. Letter E, it is recommended the board approve the harassment, intimidation, and bullying, school safety, and random drug testing reports. Letter F, it is recommended that a board approve the policy for a second reading and final approval, P5111, eligibility of resident, non-resident students. Letter G, it is recommended the board approve permitting the following student to attend Vernon Public Schools according to Board of Education Policy 5111, child of employee number 5335, be permitted to attend Vernon Township High School as a ninth grader for the 2025-26 school year. Letter H, it is recommended that the board approve the following job description: administrative assistant to the board secretary, attachment A. And letter I, it is recommended that the board approve the following regulation for a first reading, R 5530.1, random drug testing M. And what that is what's the line that's changing that, Mr. Semaglia?
The line is the district will test up to 25% of the total number of students in the testing pool annually, and it will be changed to the district will test a minimum of 10% of the total number of students in the testing pool annually. And I'll send it out via email. Everybody have a copy.
May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Contino, thank you. Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Pellet. Questions or comments? Tell me what a pyramid model training is.
That's not-
Listen, I researched.
I mean, I'm sorry, that was a faux pas.
The pyramid model, within the context of multi-tier systems of support, is a framework that uses a tiered approach to promote positive social and emotional development in young children, providing universal supports for all, targeted interventions for at-risk children, and intensive supports for those with significant behavioral challenges, essentially acting as a visual representation of how to deliver different levels of support based on individual needs within the MTSS system.
So it's the RTI pyramid.
You've seen similar
Yes,
things in our
yes,
presentations.
okay.
It's
Thank
based on the RTI model and PBIS as well.
TBIS.
Positive behavior interventions.
Thank you.
Acronyms.
Yes.
The pyramid.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Anybody have any other questions? Charles?
Recommendation 2, A, number 5. That seems to me the only one of the newer positions. You have PEA next to it. I just want to confirm that it means it's being paid out of the PEA grant. That's for an RPO.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll have a roll call.
Mr. Semaglia,
Yes.
Mr. Contino,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. Pellet,
Yes.
Dr. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney.
Yes?
Ms. Ahern,
Yes.
Ms. Brock,
Yes.
motion carries.
Hey, item N, Business Administrators Report.
Item 1, discussion, informational items. Letter A is use of buildings and grounds as noted below. Letter B, field trips as noted below. Item 2, recommendations. Letter A is recommended the board approve the following financial reports as noted below. And you'll notice here we have the attachments noted as well. And just a quick note on the list of checks, we do have a list there for anyone that would need to abstain.
There's one missing.
I got it.
You got it? Okay, okay. Thank you.
On top of things. Letter B, approval of the board secretaries and treasurers reports as noted below. It's attachment F5 and attachment F6. Letter C, as recommended, the board approve transportation is listed below. We have quoted trips. Letter D, sent, whereas the special services department has determined that individual students require special education placement based on their individual needs, and whereas the special services department has determined that services are needed and will continue till June 30th, 2025, whereas the special services department has determined that the school/service listed below is the most appropriate placement, therefore be it resolved the Vernon Township Board of Education approves the contracts as listed below. Letter E is recommended the board approve the disposition of the following items as they're either obsolete or in disrepair. Letter F is recommended that the board approve the 2025 weather service renewal agreement with WeatherWorks for the district weather monitoring needs at a cost of $695. That's attachment F7. And just a quick note, we actually split that cost with the town.
We'll be using it tonight.
Yep. But letter G is recommended the board approve water management services for the district's wastewater service and potable water services in an amount of $84,000 for 1 year. That's attachment F8. That was in response to the RFP that we had put out. Letter H is recommended the board approve Hype Nation LLC as the DJ for the junior prom for May 22nd, 2025. That's attachment F9. Letter I is recommended the board approve the 2024-2025 preschool regular education tuition reimbursement. That's attachment F10. And letter J is recommended the board approve Ridgefield Public Schools student number 22340 to receive home instruction services at a rate of $40 per hour, up to 8 hours a week.
Okay, may I have that in the form of a motion, please?
So move.
Moved by Mr. Contino, seconded,
Seconded.
seconded by Dr. Ross. Comments, questions, opinions?
Go last.
Do you have, I see a smile on your face. Does that mean you have no comments or
No,
questions?
no, I have a
Oh, yeah,
question.
that's a question.
If
Sure.
Anybody else wants to go? They feel like.
Now, let's get the best first, right?
Um, I guess it's more of a suggestion. Can we work on this for next year? I see the field trips. We're getting them for next month, right? This is nice. Next month, January, I think we go out to June, May, whatever. There was some in the beginning of the year. Probably due to timing, people starting and all that. It's understandable, but if we're planning these in June or something, maybe, or over the summer, if somebody has a suggestion, they want to put it in September, or a trip on September, October, probably up to November, right? September, October, November. Like, we can get that ahead of time, because we are voting on the cost, and it's like we're voting after.
Again, we have made it a point of emphasis. I think we're improving, but there are times that based on a couple of days or something, they don't get the forms in time, and I don't want to deny kids the opportunities in these field trips because of a day or two not handed in on time. But we are making a point of emphasis, and we do have those discussions, and we do tell people, listen, you have to get this, you know, we're making improvement in that direction.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna deny for, you know, a trip or a bus, that's something that they've done all the time, because someone may have been late by a day with a form.
Okay. And then I think I mentioned this before, some of the, I don't know exactly where it is on the register, but there are a couple of checks. I noticed that, you know, it's for paper, shredding, printers, postage, all this stuff. I think we talked about this before, Russ. You said that your district has over the years you've been working, have a plan to reduce all that. How are we going? Are we continuing that plan? Are we trying to reduce every year to cut back on those expenses? Another expense I see is the cable TV. Are we using it? Can we get it off the internet? Can we do another way? We have fiber coming to the buildings. Can we get it? That one's the cheapest of all the bills, but all these little things add up. We're paying every month. We're working to reduce some of the.
There are very
That's kind of-
specific reasons why. I believe we discussed this before, but I'll look into that again for you as far as the TV. As far as the paper shredding and all, we're doing a great deal of downsizing as we clean rooms at Walnut Ridge for our students. We've taken a lot of those and we've shredded a lot of that, and we're looking to digitize it. This is correct.
Yeah, so we went through a process because Walnut Ridge, there was a lot of storage space. There no longer is any real storage space there. Big push to get the preschool set up. So we're going through a process there, and that shredding is actually related to state approval for documents that were fairly old, that we got approval to destroy and now are being destroyed.
Okay, so it's older stuff, not,
Yeah,
it's
yes.
not, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I thought it was.
Like I can say for the business office,
Some of it is as well, Charles.
Okay,
Isn't there a regulation that you have to do it like every 7 years or something, or 7 years back or whatever?
Yeah.
You said you have to get rid of it.
So it's different depending on what the document is.
Yeah,
So
right,
there's a,
right.
there's a retention schedule, and depending on what that document is, really dictates when you can destroy it,
Right.
if you can destroy it at all. Some of the schedules, depending on what it is, it's like
You don't have to.
99 years. You don't have to, but that's when you
You
can.
That's
But
what
you have to,
Increase preschool classes.
Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
get rid of it.
but before you destroy, you also need to get the approval to do so,
Okay.
which we did, but it's just a
Yeah,
longer
I-
process.
I think the TVs were for the news, wasn't it? Something like that.
I think it might have been a security, issue to make sure we
okay.
get news.
I think you're, yeah.
Carl?
So this may be a silly question, but I'm a little surprised. Vernon Township National Honor Society NHS ceremony for the high school, Vernon Township High School. They have to get board approval to use the cafeteria at the high school. And also the parent football meeting and then the Rolling Hills student mentoring activity, they're all using facilities within the building. I don't remember ever voting on them using.
So are you,
You don't vote.
so if it's building use, it's actually informational and not for voting.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Informational.
Just, we want to let people know, hey, the facilities are being used. These are who's using the facilities.
I also want to know the story behind the broken chair.
Just a single chair.
I know, just one chair.
Just gave up.
We're doing walkthroughs for CUSAC. I probably told someone they can no longer use their chair.
It was not compliant at the time, so.
It's a non-compliant.
We let them order a new one though.
Anybody else? Mr. Slam, what about the water management services? What kind of dollar figure is that compared to last year? Do you have any idea?
Off the top of my head, it was definitely north of 100,000.
So
But
this is a decrease.
yes, so we did receive two proposals. This was the lower cost proposal because of our bid specs. Both the services we're looking for, either you provided them or you didn't. They both provided them, but this vendor came in, I think it was 84,000.
84,
Yeah, the other vendor I think was about, they were north of 115,000. So
But last year, this cost us over about 100.
definitely over 100. I don't know the exact number over the top of my head because it's those vendors are also the vendors that we would use for, say, testing for a project. So like Walnut Ridge had a project that required additional water testing over our normal water testing. So it all gets kind of grouped together, but it was
Okay.
definitely over 100,000.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have anything? All right, let's go for a roll call, please.
Mr. Catino,
Yes.
Mr. Kraus,
Yes.
Ms. Pellet,
Yes, abstain were noted. I think you need to. do
Yes,
that too.
I need to do that too. Yeah, abstain were noted in A with the list of checks.
thank you.
I think we're gonna be recusing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was
So
wondering about
No,
that.
he sent
There was
something out about
further-
that today.
Further from our attorney.
Oh, abstain.
I shared it with the board, but it was right before the meeting. He had a response where basically, if it is a conflict of interest where you're not going to be involved in any of the discussion, any of the questions, then you would recuse yourself. But if you're just simply not voting on, say, a check or a meeting that you weren't at, then it would be abstain.
Okay, thank you.
Because I asked because I know there was discussion previously.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think I gave some faulty information out last time.
it's okay. Thank you.
You got it straight.
Dr. Ross,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes, but abstain from a check issued to me.
Ms. Ahern,
Yes, but abstain from 2A check number 94270 for preschool reimbursement and also item I, preschool reimbursement.
thank you. Ms. Brock,
Yes.
Mr. Smaglia,
Yes, abstain from check 94315.
motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Slam. Moving on to the second portion of the public comment. And open the meeting up for anything you'd like to say. Please state your name and the section of town that you're from. Or the municipality in which you reside.
Hello, Stephanie Beccarello from Glenwood.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. I just have a few questions and maybe a little silly, but I figured why not? Item F, you were talked about the weather service renewal agreement. Do we have to pay to get the weather report? Is that what that is? I'm just curious.
You want to?
Yeah, it's a weather works report and it gives detailed information, especially on pavement temperatures, et cetera.
So you can make a better call.
So listen,
You
I
can
try,
blame them.
I want to let you know, I try to make the best call I can, but sometimes the weather does not cooperate.
Yeah, I get it. I figured that was it. I wasn't positive. The district wastewater, no, scratch that. Just I changed my mind on that. Can someone explain why? It says it was recommended that the board approve Ridgefield Public School student blah, 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 to receive home instruction services. What does that have to do with?
It is confusing.
Yeah, okay.
It is, without violating any, we,
I'm not looking.
it's
for
a
information
homeless
outside.
student that we are getting paid from Ridgefield.
Yeah, so we provide the services, pay for the services, and then we get reimbursed by Richfield.
Questions and comments. You ask about questions and comments after you vote? Not before?
After the motion,
After the motion.
then
Forgive.
it's okay, then people can talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, that's just the
I was
way,
thinking about vote, so why would you? Right, that was it. Boring, sorry.
no, it's okay.
Thank you.
It's okay. I'm glad we could address your questions.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to follow up on what
You'll have
Stephanie
to
was.
identify yourself again. I'm sorry, Mr. Fisher.
My name is Brian
Thank you.
Fisher. I live in Highland Lake.
Thank you.
I just want to follow up on what Stephanie was saying, and if I review the itinerary, I think, I mean, we can review the video or whatever, but for the business administrator's recommendations, and I believe there was one other. You did the roll call vote and then asked if there were questions. So I think that's Stephanie's question, because we were asking each other why you would do the vote and then ask for questions. And they were, I know it was on the business administrators, and I believe that the item before that, where there was a roll call vote, you asked for a vote, got the roll call vote. I guess it was the superintendent's report. You asked for the vote, got the roll call vote, and then said, are there any questions?
I don't think so, but I'll look at it to see. The intention is, the procedure is to get a first and a second for the motions, then have discussion.
Right,
Then after the discussion is completed, to have the roll call vote. That's the
Right.
procedure.
that's.
If I
what
made a
we thought.
mistake, I'm sorry, but I'll look to see if that was the case.
Yeah,
And I'll send you an email.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody online?
We do not have anybody online.
Well, how many people are watching?
I do not have the YouTube up today,
Okay,
but we only have one attendee in the Zoom.
okay. All right, so we're gonna move on to, close the meeting to the public. They're gonna move on to item P, open board member forum. If anybody has any items that they would like to discuss, now's the time.
I would just like to commend everybody at Walnut Ridge for getting us through preschool. The full day preschool, everybody did an exemplary job. Of course, there's hiccups, but everybody adjusted and adapted very smoothly. And I would just like to applaud the whole Walnut Ridge staff and facilities for really doing a tremendous job and effort to get our kids home safe and all, and have a good day. And right before the holiday season, so it's definitely not easy with a spread of 3 to 5 year olds.
And the superintendent made it difficult. The first day was a 2-hour delay, the week before the holiday, for everyone to begin their full day preschool experience. I want to thank the entire staff support, the community support as well. I was so excited to see the growth and progress we made in just a few short days with the students who came in initially with maybe, as Mr. Sweeney said, a few tears in their
I think
eyes.
that was some of the parents.
Well, hey, I want to let you know, though, the next day, some of those same students were giving me high fives in the hallway. So it was nice to see the progress, and I'm excited to see the educational impact that we make in this amount of time until the school year's out as well.
I can tell you my daughter has spoken very highly. She says she absolutely loves it. She loves her teacher. So yeah, like just being on the parent side of it, not the education side of it. We're really happy. We're excited for her. We're excited for the school district. Everybody we've dealt with from the application process to her teacher has been extraordinary. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to the students, the teachers and administrators, everybody involved in that.
And it's been a special week. You see the preschool. I get to go to many concerts this past week. This winter season is starting, and it's been a great experience being involved in the experience with the students. And I just wanted to wish everyone a happy holiday.
Just wanna wish everybody a happy holiday and
Yes.
happy new year. I'll see you guys on the 2nd.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Mr. Cantina.
And I know this has nothing to do with actual board business, but I did hear something about the old Board of Education offices down on 515.
That too.
And I heard that the building might be demolished. Do we know anything about that? I know that's not a building that we have anything to do with anymore,
That's correct. We don't.
but it's something I did hear and I was wondering if we knew anything about it. Or if it's appropriate for us to even discuss it, because I am a little upset if it's being demolished.
No, I
Who
have
owns
no
it?
idea.
Is it town?
We don't own it.
No, we don't.
Yeah,
but-
I know we don't own it anymore.
Hmm.
We don't know.
It's sad.
Dr. Ross and Ms. Ahern, thank you so much for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great.
Learned so much.
Thank
You're
you
all
so much.
been really wonderful to work with, so thank you.
I'll still see you with your children in the school district.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
You'll also see me for Gertrude Hall, so can I cover this?
Is that a threat?
Buy you chocolate, please.
Everybody else have a nice holiday. Charles, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanna, actually, since we're talking about the preschool, my kids went to not to this one, obviously, but we've had some wonderful preschool teachers. So I know the program is gonna be phenomenal. We still have the talent that we had there back then. Those are the first, they start the whole journey for these kids. So I know we had an excellent staff, and I'm sure we just added to that. So I just want to make a comment on that. And the I guess less exciting thing. We talked about the calendar last week. We had the kindergarten thing last week. When you're building this calendar this year, can we block off days that are board days? I don't know, that's just a request.
Oh,
So, like,
The pre-K
unfortunately.
It was a pre-K back to school night, yeah.
Yeah, like,
No, right.
not the schedule, like, obviously if it's a sports game, you can't always avoid that, but can we avoid anything else on a board night?
We've been very good at that,
Okay.
this past year. I believe it was just a matter of, timing, around the board, and, I believe it was probably prioritizing the preschool over the board meeting at that particular time.
Okay. And then, yesterday, Glen Meadow won the, Kittatinny, second annual Kittatinny basketball championship. game.
Someone was at those games, I believe. It must have been exciting to
Oh,
hear.
yeah.
That's great.
It
That's
was,
great.
they-
Well,
the
that's
kids-
nice.
Boys played very well, yep.
That's
And
it.
Vern is there tonight, Jefferson, right? I think, the boys,
That's great.
Okay, motion to close.
So moved.
Mr. Kraus,
Sure.
second by Mr. Cantina. All in favor?
Bye.
That was fast. We are going. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
A pleasure doing.